All right. I think we're gonna go ahead and kick this off. So Frank, first of all, good morning to you, and good morning. I shouldn't say good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to a bunch of you who are joining us right now. I so deeply appreciate you taking the time to come along. We have somebody just joining us from Australia, so it's very late there, and we thank you for staying up as late as you are. So the purpose of these little short broadcasts that we're going to be doing is really to highlight some of the people among us, some of the people in Worldchefs and maybe outside of Worldchefs, but people who are living in the world of sustainability and making a difference. And frankly, I think these people serve as examples for us and inspirations for us. So that's really what we're going to be doing in all this. We're going to hopefully bring people from all over the world to show you what people are doing. And again, maybe when we're done, you can kind of go, hey, I could do something like that. So the way that this works is I'm going to be interviewing Frank, Chef Frank, who's with us today. And then we'll do that for about 20 minutes. And then at the end of that 20 minutes, I will ask questions that you are asking to Chef Frank. So as you think of questions, please just type them in, and we'll do our best to get to some of them before our time runs out today. So during those series of broadcasts we did about the sustainability curriculum, one of the things we talked a lot about was plant-based food. And this need, especially when we looked at things like the Eat Lancet report, which really says we all should be eating more plant-based, we all should be eating less animal-based protein, and how do we do that? So when we thought about who should we be doing, who should we be interviewing today, Chef Frank was really the kind of the natural choice for us, because here's somebody who's been living in this world of plant-based for many, many years with an ever-expanding sphere of influence. So it's a natural that you're here today, Chef, with us. So let me introduce the chef. Chef Frank Fol is from Belgium, and he has been making vegetables and celebrating them in his cuisine for really a long time. And his teaching and incentivizing other professionals and home cooks to do so has been admirable. He really demonstrates what we talked about before, which is the power of the white jacket. So just a few things about Chef Frank. He is the vegetable chef. He is the chairman of the We're Smart Green Guide, which we're going to talk about. He is a member of our Feed the Planet committee, which we're very grateful for. He has authored over 30 publications, had a TV show, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. He is the president of the Master Cooks of Belgium and Young Masters. He started cooking, I'm giving away your age here, Chef, in 1981 was your first job. And during his career, he also had his own Michelin-starred restaurant, which we're also going to talk about. And the We're Smart World's mission, which is really kind of the core of Frank Fol, is to bring people and companies together that are healthy, ecological, and sustainably active in food and beyond, trying to learn from each other and to strengthen each other, with the sole aim of allowing our society to evolve towards smarter solutions for our bodies, nature, and the world. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But honestly, I could go on for probably this whole time talking about everything Frank has done. I mean, it's his bio is enormous. So Frank, a huge welcome to you, and thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
And I deeply admire your chef jacket.
That's the new We're Smart chef's jacket.
It's very nice.
Launched on 4th of May for chefs who receive an award. They receive also this jacket. Yes.
Well, I think we have to talk to Worldchefs folks. I need a nicer jacket. Anyways, so let's go ahead and kind of jump into this, because my first question for you is really, you have been in this plant-based world for so long, but how did it start? I mean, where did you always think this way? Did you grow up just eating and cooking vegetables all the time? How did that start for you?
I think it starts a long time ago and at home. I was living in a region where some of our Belgian products, star products, were cultivated, like asparagus, like Belgian endives, the strawberries, and so on. And when I was a child, I had the possibility to go myself, take them in the fields around, and it was, I learned about the seasons. And so step by step, I think I was interested in food, and I had the possibility to go to the cook school in Belgium, in Brussels, and to learn to be cook.
Excellent. And in your professional career, were you always cooking vegetables? I mean, was vegetables always the center of your focus, or was there a moment in time when you kind of said, wait a minute, I need to think differently about vegetables?
Yes. I first worked in a 3-star Michelin restaurant in Brussels, La Villa Lorraine. It was a restaurant who was based really on the French cuisine, a lot of butter and cream, but also high-level cooking. But always the meat or the fish was the center of the plate. And I had the possibility to go with the chef of the restaurant to Asia, Thailand, to be correct. And we did a Belgian festival in Bangkok. In that moment, it was Hilton. And in the afternoon, I had the possibility to go see in the kitchens of the different restaurants in the hotel, Thai kitchen. And I saw a total different world. It was for me very interesting to see that vegetables were prepared on a very natural way, with a lot of flavors, with fresh herbs, with healthy natural stock, no cream, and less fat, and so on. So it was an opening for me, and I was thinking, why we in Belgium, we have so much fantastic vegetables and products. Why we don't put this more, make it not more important? It's always on the side of a dish. It's in some of the restaurants, it's even not mentioned to be eaten. It's more a garniture, and people don't eat because it was not really good prepared. So when I come back from Thailand, my idea was I will make this a little bit my, how do you say it? This is what I want to do. I want to learn about it. I want to put the vegetable on top and starting to cook from vegetables. When I make a dish, I will first think plant-based, fruit, vegetables, nuts, whatever, but plant-based. And then in the second way, we will see if we will put meat or fish with or not. And we call it a think vegetable, think fruit philosophy.
So basically, when you design a plate, which, you know, for many of us who grew up in the kitchens, what we do is we start, like you said, with, I'm going to cook turbo, and I'm going to put a sauce with it, and then you think about the vegetables. What you're saying is you begin with the vegetables, fruits, nuts, and then maybe there's meat, maybe there's not. Now you had a restaurant, 1-star Michelin, and was that the philosophy of your restaurant? I mean, how did that?
When I created my restaurant in 1989, I put on my menu Frank Fol and his kitchen with vegetables. It was that moment a little bit revolutionary because people didn't understand. They thought we were a vegetarian restaurant. What was not true. We put the vegetables on the first level. And so we created from the vegetables. And that reason I had also the possibility to have my television show to explain all this. And from that moment, they call me also the vegetable chef, because it was, people were very impressed about it. And a lot of journalists didn't understand, so we had to explain it. But it was the opening for my restaurant also to make this big step and to change totally the way to work. But there was nobody who could explain me, so I had to learn everything for myself.
So this is way back in 1989, which is a long time ago. And so you had a TV show. The TV show helped you communicate your message to the wider audience. But how about in those beginning days when people would come into your restaurant and maybe they'd be a little bit confused about what you're trying to do? How did you communicate to your customer what you were doing?
I think the name from Think Vegetable, Think Fruit is also a very strong name, because it says everything. You start from fruit and vegetables, and when we communicate to the people, to the clients, the guests, we always also on the menu put first the vegetables. And that's something that is very interesting, because when you say carrot with chicken, it's totally different than you say chicken with carrots. The idea is the people will see it. And that's something we also, with We're Smart Green Guide, try to explain to chefs and to restaurants, that if they want to make the big change, they have to make also the change in the communication.
Did you ever have a customer come into your restaurant? I mean, I imagine you did, but somebody who came in and they kind of sat down like, I don't know about this place. And then at the end of the meal, they were like, hey, wait a minute, this is brand new, this is interesting. Did that happen to you? Was that?
I had even people who said to me, you will not change my way to eat. I'm a meat eater. And after dinner, they come to me. I didn't know that vegetables could be so tasteful. And I think this is the best compliment that the chef can receive. And I think also that the only way to change the thinking about food and to change the taste of the people is to make it good and tasteful, and so to show that it could be different.
So you used all the power of your chefing, right? We know how to make food taste good, but you focused on vegetables. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about cost, because you ran a restaurant. Part of running a restaurant means you have to make money. How did that work out for you? I mean, because vegetables are less expensive, not always, but most of the time, if you look at how much a kilo costs or whatever. Did that work out well for you? I mean, how does that work?
I think there are two important points. First, when you work with the seasons from your country, your region, then you can buy the ingredients, I think, very interesting. It's less expensive than meat and fish. So if you make your dishes more than two-thirds or more than two-thirds with vegetables, I think you can win. Otherwise, naturally, you have also the work. And if you prepare a piece of meat, it's easier than to prepare vegetables, because you have more work. You have the cutting, you have the preparation, and so on. So I think you are a little bit losing money on people, on work, but you are winning on food cost.
That's a really important point. Now, after your restaurant, you kind of went into consulting, which I think was a way for you to, I mean, what I see in your career is your influence just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You start with a restaurant, then a show, so now you're talking to lots of people, then into consulting, where you get to influence a lot of restaurants. Did you ever in your consulting world, did you ever, you're the expert, right? But in the consulting world, did you ever leave one of your clients and walk out the door and say, wow, I just learned something that I never thought about? Did that happen to you where you were inspired by the people you were working with?
Yeah. Do you mention in the negative way or?
Either way.
I think it's clear that one day I was working for a meat company. One of my explanations or my communication was that there will be a day that the meat companies need the vegetables to sell meat. And I said that they have to prepare products where the vegetable is important and maybe the most important ingredients mixed or not mixed with meat. And so I was a company who contacted me and to think about it and create some products for the market. But I have to be honest, when I saw the way they work and the products they mix, the chemicals they mix inside of all those charcuterie and so on, I was a little bit disappointed and I stopped the work together with them.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, before we get to questions, I do want to ask you, you have the World Green Guide, the Smart World Green Guide, yeah, and awards. So can you just tell us a little bit about that? Because, this now takes Frank Fol's philosophy of vegetable first outside of Belgium into other countries and around the world. So tell me a little bit about that, about the guide and about the awards.
But I think when 12 years ago, I launched the contest Best Vegetable Restaurant in the Benelux. And because I thought I'm alone saying and fighting to change the world, and I thought when we can be more chefs who understand the philosophy and who will be ambassador for this message, it will going more faster. We will be hopefully faster in a new world, in a better world. So with this contest every year, I created new ambassadors. So it was fantastic. And so after some years, we had a list of a lot of chefs in the Benelux and also already a little bit out of Benelux, chefs who were putting vegetables on a better way on the dishes, doing a lot of communication, a lot of creativity about vegetables. And so I thought, yeah, why we don't put it in a website or in a guide so we can give this information to the clients, because our guests are maybe looking after this information. And so started up the Green Guide, the We're Smart Green Guide. And we had also the week of fruit and vegetables, the first full week of the week of the month of May. And so then we had the guide, so we had the different activities around the green wave, and so created the platform We're Smart World. And this platform has now all those information. And with the Green Guide, we try to find those chefs in the world who are making the difference about cooking with fruit and vegetables, plant-based cooking. It is not always 100% plant-based, and that's important. But a lot of the restaurants we are mentioned and who are listed in the guide are 100%. So the most important thing is the percentage. It starts from 1 radish to 5 radishes. If you want to know more about the general guidelines, I think you have to see online on the website, but it's very clear. 1 to 5 radishes explain every time the different things you have to do to work and to go to 5 radishes.
So like Michelin has stars, you have radishes.
That's true.
So if I'm a 5 radish, that means I am amazing in how I'm cooking vegetables.
You are the top of the plant-based cooking in the world, yes. Yeah. And we have now
how many,
77 5 radishes in the world. Yeah.
How many restaurants are in your guide right now total?
Nearly 1,000 in 43 countries.
Wow. That's incredible. So, you know, at the end of this broadcast, Lynn will be sending out to everybody lots of information about Frank and about all the things he's working on. So please take the time, because, you know, he's done so very much. I'm also going to just mention, and we're going to jump into some questions here, but he also has developed, is it 51 techniques for cooking vegetables that are specific to vegetables?
Yeah, I think that the comment you sometimes receive from people is, yeah, vegetables, it's boring, it's not always good, and so on. And when chefs has to make the difference to the clients, they have to have also the information about how to prepare them, how we can make the difference for the clients. So in all these years, we put in a list all the possible ways to prepare vegetables, and now we have 51 culinary techniques to prepare vegetables, and that gives a lot of possible creativity. When you see all these techniques and you have all the vegetables and other plant-based ingredients, you can imagine what a world of creativity there is creating, and a lot of things we can still learn about it. And people at home, I think they preparing or using 5 to 7 techniques, but in the restaurant we can do more better.
and we're gonna send out the link to that also for everybody. So I'm gonna jump into some quick questions here, Chef, which I'm scanning right now. Quick question: what is the best way to incorporate umami into vegetables?
But a lot of vegetables has a natural umami. I think tomato and mushroom and so on. And when one of the products one day we created was when you cut the mushroom, you have the top of the mushroom who is staying in the ground, and they take it out, they wash it, they cook it, they reduce it and dry it, and it becomes a powder. And this powder, it is like umami salt. You can use to put on different dishes. It has a little bit of taste of mushroom, so it goes not everywhere on every creation, but in a lot of creations it gives a fantastic result. So all those things we have to use in the kitchen, I think.
Awesome. All right, I have been mostly vegetarian for about a year, but enjoy the texture of meat substitutes. Do you have a favorite, such as tofu, seitan, etc.? Is there a concern about the environmental impact of these types of products?
Yeah, I think there are different ways to see it. For me personally, I eat meat. I'm not vegetarian, but I don't eat it every day. So I'm focused on the vegetables and on everything what is possible in plant-based. So I will never, or nearly never, take looking for a substitute of meat, because I don't need it for my body. I think people who are really on vegan or veggie, they have to see a different way. And then there are a lot of possibilities, I think. There are very good products. I think when you prepare them, meat eaters will even not know that it is not meat. So it's a lot of companies are working on this. But for me, it's not something of my daily food.
Excellent. Many chefs are moving towards plant-based menu items, but do not have a clear understanding of how to incorporate protein in a healthy way. What suggestions do you have for them to start with, other than nuts, quoting, which have allergy issues? How do you think differently about protein when it comes to plant-based?
Right, it is a little bit the same question, and for me, when you have in a restaurant, in a gastronomic restaurant, the possibility to eat 100% plant-based. A lot of chefs now have a menu 100% plant-based. They don't work on this. Because they have a lot of, if not everybody who is coming in the restaurant will be not vegetarian. They come because they like to eat the creations of this chef, even the creations without meat and fish. So that's very important to know. It is not always necessary, but in some parts of the world, I know that it's very important, because there are a lot of vegetarian people, and then I think you have to see all the possibilities there are. For the moment, we more and more products are or even mixes are created who are good proteins and to use in the kitchen. But for me, I try to stay natural. So that's very important. Not too much or no products and no added sugar and no MSG and so on. That's very important.
So let me ask you, another one here is, basically there's a question about, can I get all my nutrients from eating mostly vegetables, in terms of minerals, vitamins, carbohydrates, omega-3s, etc. Do I worry about, are there any health concerns in terms of not getting enough nutrients?
No, because that's fantastic. And the world of plant-based is that there are seasons. And normally, if you follow the seasons, you will have also the nutrients in your food who is needed by your body. The only thing is that some of the people, maybe when you say I go for 100% plant-based, that some of the people are not in the knowledge to put everything what we take out of meat. So they
right.
They have to learn about it and to see how they can organize it otherwise.
Yeah, to make a complete protein. Real quick question here, and then we're going to wrap up here. What is the best way for you to preserve herbs?
Yeah, what I do is first if you have the possibility to have a herb garden, I think that's the best. When you have the herbs that you buy, you have to put it in a place where it's not too cold. We put always paper on it with a little bit humid. It's
a little bit of water.
Yeah. And so I think that's the best way to that they stay long. Okay, but it's not never it's never the idea to put it for weeks in the fridge.
But if you have to like preserve it long term, do you dry them? What would you recommend?
Yeah, drying is a possibility. Yeah, and I think we all work with dried thyme herb, and it's always a plus when you can put some of those herbs on a preparation. But fresh is total different. I think.
Absolutely. So there have been a bunch of questions / comments about, you know, COVID-19 and healthy and I think that one of the takeaways from this is, you know, sort of circling back to when we were talking about the sustainability curriculum, is that, you know, eating vegetables, more of them, more plant-based is good for the planet, but it's also really healthy for us, and especially in terms of us maintaining our own individual health. It's a really good way to do that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But Chef, I did tell you I was going to embarrass you with 2 really fast questions, and I don't want you to think about these very long. They're really short, okay? And then they're impossible. So the first question is, your favorite vegetable is?
Belgian endives.
Of course.
But very important. There's 2 different. There is the one who is growing on the ground, and there's the one who is growing on water culture. So for me, it's the real stuff I need.
All right. And then the other one is, your favorite Belgian beer is?
Oh, that's difficult. I'm from
I told you it would be hard.
I'm living in Hoegaarden, so I will say the white Hoegaarden beer. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Chef, I want to thank you for taking this time to be with us today. And as I said in the beginning of my beginning comments, you know, you really are an inspiration to what can be done. You know, when you think about the power of the white jacket and what we're capable of doing and how we can shape the world and what people think, you know, you look at Chef Frank, who's doing this plant-based, you know, menus, not vegetarian necessarily, but really focused on the vegetables, fruits, etc. And, you know, doing it in the 80s when this was brand new. But think about all the people that he's influenced and continues to influence. And hopefully he's been an influence for you today also, because I know that in some parts of the world, you know, meat is front and center always. But, you know, we have the power to change, and we have the power to show people what we can do. But again, it's about using our skills. You can't just put boiled vegetables on the plate. They've got to be really interesting. And I think, you know, take a look at the websites that we're going to send you the information about those 51 techniques, and see what Frank is doing, and continue to join us for these presentations. So thank you. By the way, I saw the comments. I am still drinking coffee. I'm not done. And today it's Indonesian coffee. Just there you go. So Frank, once again, a huge thank you. And to all of you who joined us today, we'll be doing these from time to time. So please join us. And thank you. Have a great day. For our folks in Australia, good night. And for everybody else, have a wonderful part of day wherever it is for you. Thanks again.
Chris, I have one thing to say for all the chefs who are with us, because it will be very important. The communication that we will have now after and when the restaurants will open is that maybe we have to think about talking about the reason why we put some ingredients, some vegetable inside of a dish, because it could be a product that our body needs against the COVID-19. So we have to learn a lot about it, and we can help people when they come eat in our restaurants.
It's a great point and a great way to wrap it up. Stay healthy, everybody. So
thank you, Chris.
Frank, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'll hopefully join you in Belgium again one of these days. To everybody on the call here, thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.